Hi, my name is Jessie Alvarez, and this is my leadership project focused on HIPAA. A little bit of background about my facility. I am currently the HIM supervisor at Eisenhower Medical Center, located in Palm Springs. We have a unique demographic in that we serve a lot of Medicare patients and retired patients. We also have a really high snowbird population, meaning that people come from all over to visit and vacation in the Palm Springs area. Our peak season is from October to May, which is when we see a majority of our patients. And because I work in medical records, we have a unique setup in that our team focuses more on getting the documents into the electronic medical record system versus releasing them. We have a department that we outsource to another company, and they release all of our records. I am the team lead as an HIM supervisor. I chose Beth Buchan as the surgery scheduler to help me, as well as Winnie Elliott, who's the patient registration supervisor. Our goal was to present HIPAA guidelines for our staff. We all work together for the revenue cycle. We don't necessarily interact on a daily basis, but there are times when we have touch base. So I specifically chose these women because I don't interact with them on a daily basis, and I wanted them to see my leadership skills and provide feedback for me. Our goal was to give a clear and concise definition of HIPAA to our staff. And our rationale was to help the staff feel confident when answering questions to HIPAA, as well as asking questions. We wanted them to be able to engage in open conversation, especially about common questions that they receive daily. Our scope was to research our policies on HIPAA so the staff were aware of what they had available for research for them. It was also to create an interactive meeting where everyone could get together and ask questions and engage in the HIPAA training. We do offer HIPAA training through our Net Learning yearly. It's mainly reading slides and answering questions. I wanted this to be more of an interactive and conversational tool for the staff. And at the end, we were going to provide tip sheets for them so that they had something to reference back on. I don't feel that my leadership style fits one. I feel after being in management for 7 years, I have a different management style depending on the situation that I'm leading into. So for this project, my leadership style started off more as a laissez-faire. These women are already supervisors in their departments, so I kind of was hesitant and wanting to step back and kind of see how they would lead things and look at from their angle before I stepped in, because this was a project that I was bringing to them. So I kind of stood back and assessed them and see what they thought about it before I wanted to guide them and work with them, which I tend to lead more democratic, but I do feel overall my management style, depending on the situation, it fluctuates. Leadership traits: intelligence, confidence, determination. Those were the three that I feel really fit me as a manager and as a supervisor. I like to be reasonable when I do things, and I really need to be informed well on the topic. I want to be making sure I know in the ins and outs of everything before I present to my staff, so that if they have questions, that I'm well prepared in answering them. And the confidence comes from also being well informed in the topic. You need to be able to accomplish goals and understand what it is that you're trying to present to everybody. Also, determination. I was really determined about this goal because I do get a lot of questions daily about HIPAA, and there seems to be a lot of confusion because people throw out HIPAA and go, I know what it is, you have to give me my records. Yes, but there's a lot more to HIPAA. So I feel really passionate about this topic and explaining it so that all the staff understand what they can and cannot say, and that they feel confident in the skill set that they present as well. So I'm very determined when I do things like projects such as this. Leadership strengths. I realized my strengths were very much teamwork. I wanted to work really well with these women so that not only could they see my leadership skills, but also get to know them, because we have talked on an occasional basis, and I feel like our teams could work really well together when it comes to difficult issues such as HIPAA. So I wanted the teamwork, and I feel like that comes with listening, communication, and being able to resolve conflicts. Unrealized strengths that I do have is problem solving. I didn't necessarily feel I had that trait before, but after researching about problem solving and situational awareness, being aware of everything that's going on, especially when it comes to relation to a project, I do feel like after everything is said and done, I did focus and have those traits after all. So it was really exciting to learn what kind of strengths and unrealized strengths that I have in this project. Leadership skills. I have been in management of some sort for the past 7 years, so I knew I had administrative skills. I am very good at managing people. I'm very good at managing resources, and all of that. You need to be able to have technical skills, because if you don't understand the technical side of what you're doing, it's very difficult to manage people, and it's very difficult to manage the resources that you have. So being able to carry out all of that for the purpose of the organizational goal and what they're trying to achieve is extremely important. I also felt like after learning a lot about interpersonal skills, I also feel that I have that as well. I worked really hard to get to know these two people that I was working with because I hadn't worked with them necessarily in a one-on-one setting before. And it gave me a lot of perspective on them, the challenges that they're facing, not only with HIPAA, but within their department as well. So it was able to give us an idea of what kind of goals we'd also like to achieve besides HIPAA. There's other questions that come up that don't necessarily relate to HIPAA that I feel as a team we can work all well together. And so making that suggestion to them as a team, I think really showed that I have interpersonal skills because I'm aware of how they're operating their teams and how the struggles or things that they're facing that we could potentially face later on in HIM. That also comes with handling conflict. I do feel that handling conflict is extremely important in a department, and it can come and go. Some days the teams are great, sometimes they aren't. We did have one particular conflict, which I'll discuss later in another slide, and I felt like that the positive feedback that I received about handling conflict was really important. Ethics. A lot of people have ethics. It's really who you are as a moral person. And those come from how you're raised, your character, your goals, the values that you have, your honesty, what you're willing to showcase for yourself. I feel like the 6 pillars of character really fit me of who I am as a person and who I am as ethics. And even I think as our team as well. We all trusted each other. We had mutual respect because we all had the same end goal and the topic was so exciting for all of us to present to our team other than them reading off of a net learning, oh, this is HIPAA, this is what you do, blah blah blah, answer questions about it. We wanted this to be engaging and fun for all the staff members and bring them all together. So the fact that we had that, I feel like we really reached the 6 pillars of characterness. We cared about the topic, we cared about each other. We wanted it to be fair because HIPAA for surgery scheduling is HIPAA for different HIPAA for HIM and different HIPAA for pre-registration. So although we're linked in some ways and we all deal with HIPAA in some ways, it wasn't the same. So being ethical and that we wanted to be fair with each other and give each other the same opportunity to present and address our staff while also hoping that the other staff will learn something as well was very big in this project. I think that also led to our culture, climate and culture. We really wanted to promote all ideas. I know I did specifically because I knew that they dealt with HIPAA in a different way. That takes listening, and building that climate of trust so that they feel, hey, I can engage and bring my ideas as well. And that also brings high member satisfaction. I wanted them to include all of their ideas and voice everything that they had and their concerns so that we could make the best decision on what needed to be included and that it would help everybody. So I felt like that was maybe kind of reaching back to democratic, all voices need to be heard and you're presenting, showing the people that you care and that you're accepting. And this is a collaborative effort on all of our behalfs to give our staff the best knowledge and a fun setting for all of us. I didn't want them to think, oh, another HIPAA training, how boring. I wanted everybody to come in, and that was the goal they had as well. They wanted their staff to come in and feel excited about what we were going to be doing as a team. I specifically chose Winnie on the side because I had heard that she had some really wonderful team building skills and fun, energetic meetings. She brings a lot of props and she engages in her staff. So I wanted to not only see that for myself as a manager, but I also wanted her to bring that to the team and show other departments, how fun this could be. So that was a big reason of why I picked her. I wanted her to set up the interactive portion of the staff meeting for everybody to engage and have some fun and get to know each other. Not only am I getting to know these 3 women or 2 other women, I'm getting to know her staff as well and see what their concerns are, and hopefully people can engage each other. That was the goal, and it actually ended up being that way as well. So that was really fantastic. Team diversity. I tend to lean towards people who are different than me because I think that goes back to ethics. Everybody's raised differently, people do things differently, they see things differently. And I think that's the best way to have a team. You know, Winnie coming from a different ethnic background, and so is Beth than myself. So, hearing how they perceive things and what they see and showcase in their departments. So I think that creates a balance, and by accepting their unique values and unique qualities, it creates a wonderful team diversity because you want that. You want to hit all the points because not everybody in our staff are all the same. So we wanted to be able to, focus on those people who needed help especially out of group members. I learned that a lot in this text, that you have out of group members who don't really want to participate, or they do want to participate but are too shy. So it felt like if I could engage them as well, and get them talking with all of us, then we could have a better HIPAA training for everybody involved. It wasn't just about us presenting HIPAA to the team. It was about them showing, hey, I hear this. What do you guys think of this? How do you handle this? That was the goal of having an interactive meeting. So I think diverse leadership really helps that, and it creates a supportive environment for everybody. You're enhancing their diversity, you're accepting of their differences and their ideas, and you're showing them support. Like, yes, you have a great point, and that's so not how I would have thought of that, but that's an excellent idea. So I wanted to make sure that all learning abilities were adapted, because my staff, I know, have learning, they all learn differently, and I'm sure other staff members do too. So working with them as a team, and we actually had to highlight that, where do you see your group going and what do we need to focus on? That was a big discussion. So team diversity, I think, is super important. And it also, so we could give them the tip sheet. That was where the tip sheet idea came in, was, so they had a reference guide that they could go back to, even if they didn't necessarily remember everything that was discussed. The one conflict that we had, um, I don't like to avoid conflict for sure. The one conflict that we had was the PowerPoint presentation, and people had so many different ideas, but we only had a short amount of time. And so I wanted them to focus on what's their main issue that they're running into with HIPAA. What's the main question that they're running into? My team has a lot of issues with, is the physician a physician that we're employed with, or are they a physician that has privileges? How can we release records? Do they need a release? That was a big topic in my department. So I told us to kind of all step back, because it was getting a little heated. And I just wanted them to remember, it's all about all of us, where this is a mutual gain for everybody. Everybody needs to listen. Let's break down the smaller issue. And the issue was, people were so worried about getting their topic in. So I said, let's step back and, you know, take a time to think about what's the most important issue that your staff is facing, and let's come together and put it together. And if they're the same, then that's the time we need to, okay, let's find another topic to discuss. So I actually got a lot of positive feedback about that, because I felt like we were compromising and we were collaborating at the same time. And it's all about showing positive change. Change can sometimes be seen as negative, and I want to promote positive change, that this is for the greater good of everybody. Self-reflection. I did get a lot of positive feedback on the presentation overall and my leadership skills. They thought the climate was really constructive and that we worked really together as a team, and that was fantastic, as to not really knowing these women to working well with them, and that we were able to put off a presentation for our staff and that we actually want to continue, was fantastic for me. So I heard a lot about that, and there was a lot of positive feedback even from the staff, that they enjoyed the topic and that they enjoyed the games and the treats, and they got to interact and learn with each other. So that was really neat to hear. I do, however, need to work on my timeline. This felt a little rushed. Um, that was what I got back. We all have lives and personal lives, and being a supervisor, so we had to come together sometimes at lunch to, work on the project, and, wasn't necessarily ideal for people. That's when we like to tend to relax. So the feedback that I got was to focus on timelines and how I want to present um, the goals and the scopes, and making sure we're reaching the deadline, but make it a reasonable deadline. And I didn't think this deadline was unreasonable, but I do feel like they felt the pressure to get this done in the 7 weeks. So that's something I need to focus on and work and grow for myself. Everything was referenced out of our Introduction to Leadership text from Peter Northouse. It was a really fantastic textbook. Um, like I said, the key things that stuck with me was learning about my traits that I didn't know that I had, and as well as out member groups. I'm really looking forward to using that particular section with some of my team members, not just within that group that I had working on this project, but also my actual staff. So I think that this was an excellent text, and I learned a lot from this project. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to reading your guys' feedback on my HIPAA project, and hopefully this was engaging for you as it was for me.